Are there too many books? This is a big question that is surprisingly difficult to answer. So let's not waste any time. Let's just jump in and look at this from as many angles as we can find. The reason I've decided to talk about this now is because I was scrolling through Instagram a few weeks ago and I saw a post from a UK-based publisher that I absolutely love. The post was from Titan Books, who primarily publish horror fiction. And they also primarily publish their books in paperback, which is something I really appreciate. You don't have to wait around. If you can't afford a hardback and you know the paperback's not coming out for 6 months or a year. Anyway, that's a separate thing. They posted this image. These are review copies of all of the books that they are publishing in 2025, a year that we are more than halfway through. This is what they have left to publish in 2025, meaning that when the year is finished, they have probably published twice as many books as this. And they are one small publisher, primarily publishing one genre in one country. That is an enormous number. And, well, because I'm a big fan of this publisher and I know their pedigree, I know that most of these books are going to be great and I want to read them. I love horror, I love this publisher, I recognize a lot of these names and I'm interested. But it's too much. That's too much for anyone. And so I immediately get FOMO, and that's a me problem, but it's one of many things I want to talk about in this video. And seeing that photo immediately made me think, there are too many books. There are way too many books. And I've heard the statistic that has been backed up by multiple sources that in the UK every year, roughly 200,000 books are published. Again, that's just one country. That is too many books. In my most recent video, I talked about a study that looked into the declining reading rates of young people. So if it's accurate that fewer people are reading than ever before, which I'm pretty skeptical about, as I said in that video. But we have 200,000 new books being published every single year in just one country. Doesn't that feel like a problem? But then, is it a problem? Well, I did some research and I have 2 articles to go through, one of which unfortunately features Bill Bryson, a person I used to really enjoy. I've read quite a few of his books, but I cannot stand him anymore. He's just a grumpy old boomer who makes transphobic jokes, but there was a time when I liked Bill Bryson, I'll admit. So let's dig into these first, and then I'm going to share all of my thoughts, looking at things from all different angles because I have a lot going on in my head. So the first article was published by The Guardian in March of this year, and it's titled, "More are published than could ever succeed. Are there too many books?" While some say the rise of the self-publishing model is damaging the industry, others feel it gives authors a fairer deal. The article starts off with the words of Bill Bryson, who once again echoes that 200,000 books are published every year argument. He is not sure that the growth in self-publishing in particular is a healthy development. He said he gets sent a lot of self-published books, and most of the time it is just some anonymous person's life and it is of no interest. I personally don't see an issue with that. A person can write about whatever they want, and if they have the means to self-publish it, go for it. That is their freedom. Bryson is not wrong that self-publishing has contributed significantly to book slop mountain. More than 2.6 million books were self-published in 2023, many of which are uploaded to the dominant platform, Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing. And they can't all be masterpieces. Nevertheless, the idea that self-publishing is the preserve of hopeless hobbyists producing books no one wants to read is at least a decade out of date. The romance author Colleen Hoover built her audience through self-publishing and has now sold around 20 million books. Sarah J. Maas, the world's best-selling author in 2024, started publishing her romantasy fiction on fictionpress.com when she was 16. Frida McFadden, the hugely successful psychological thriller writer, claims to make 60% of her income via KDP and has continued to self-publish even as mainstream publishers seek her out. This is something I hear about a lot. Big-name authors that you and I are probably familiar with occasionally self-publishing even under different names because they know how lucrative self-publishing is even via KDP, which incidentally is what I use to publish my book. I make a little bit of money every single month off my book just via KDP, and I am a very, very small name. I often promote my book at the end of my videos, and most months at least 100 of you buy a copy of my book, and that covers my bills. And I am absolutely tiny. I'm a small, tiny little fish in this pond. Self-publishing can be enormously lucrative for so many people, to the point that because of community support, because of things like social media, and the way that you can build a cult of personality around yourself and your books, you can have so much more success in terms of sales and the amount of money that you make than if you ever choose to go with a big publisher. Self-publishing is enormously successful for so many people. But does that fact help us answer the question, are there too many books? Now, The Guardian goes on to deep dive into self-publishing, the trends, how it all works, the success that some people have found, etc., etc. You can go read the whole thing, I've linked it in the description. But a little further along, we get this paragraph. James McConaughey, editor of The Author, the journal run by the Society of Authors, the UK's largest writers' body, paints a similar picture. Far more books are published than could ever succeed, he says. This is chiefly a natural result of readers being unpredictable. No one can publish only bestsellers, so the publishing industry is inevitably wedded to a model of overproduction. Too many publishers buy lots of books and publish them relatively cheaply, underinvesting in editing or marketing while outsourcing much of the risk to authors. The trouble is, the model sort of works for the publishers, says McConaughey. The industry is not broken, he says, pointing to the extremely healthy profits of the big 5 publishers. But the model does rely on the imbalance between the author and the publisher share. That's one reason for the growth in self-publishing. It can feel like you get a fairer share, especially when advances and royalty rates are so slow, and traditional authors are doing much of the marketing anyway. That is absolutely fascinating. I really enjoyed that insight. It implies a quantity over quality model. If publishing is cheap, you publish more and you potentially make more money. Does that mean that publishers could get less picky over what they publish with the hope that just churning things out will generate more revenue? Maybe. I also realized that both myself and the article have used the word success quite a lot, and I'm very sick of that word. Success is starting to feel like a poisonous, toxic word in our society right now. So many girl boss types and the dude bros who wake up at 5 a.m. to bathe their faces in cold water, they obsess over success to the point that I have no idea what success means. And I think so many people write books not because they're looking for financial success or big numbers, but because they've written something that they want other people to read. Maybe because they think it's important, maybe just as self-expression. Because they had a passion for art, an idea that struck them, and the creative process just takes over. Once again, speaking for myself, I know that when I wrote this book, most of the stories in it were things that just sat in my head like little demons that I had to get out onto paper. It felt like an exorcism. I've said this before. I exorcised this book out of my poisoned brain. I was a very anxious baby trans who didn't know how to process my feelings and my experiences, and I spat it all out into this collection of twisted horror stories. And I'm very proud of how they came out. They're good stories. I don't know if I found success with it because I don't know what metric I'm supposed to measure that success by. But I know that it was a worthwhile experience. I know that it felt healing in the moment, and I know that I'm proud of the result. I'm really happy with the reviews that I've gotten. I'm happy with the amount of books that I sell. I'm happy that I make a little bit of money on the side from it. I'm happy and I feel proud. Is that success? I don't know. Success looks different by every single metric, depending on who you ask. There is no way to definitively measure success. And it's poisonous that we all think we need to. It's just like the word lazy. There's no such thing as laziness. If a person doesn't want to work, they shouldn't have to. But that's the communist in me talking now. We're gonna move on. That was a fun little rant though. I think you'll agree. So another problem with the amount of books being published is something I brought up at the very beginning, FOMO. And this is a thing that has existed across all entertainment media for the longest time, but it feels more prevalent at the moment, maybe because we gave it a name. We say FOMO a lot. I hear that word all the time. In case you don't know what it means, FOMO is short for fear of missing out. You often feel the need to go see the latest movie, or read the latest book, or play the latest video game for fear of missing out. It's manufactured jealousy. You might not actually be jealous of the people that are reading the latest book or watching the latest film, but you're made to feel that way through marketing and conversations that are happening around you. If everyone is talking about the latest thing, suddenly you feel like you need to be part of that conversation and enjoy the latest thing. And it can be really difficult to separate the feeling of FOMO with actual genuine curiosity or a need for a thing or jealousy or whatever. Like, for example, the new Nintendo Switch just came out last month, and I felt FOMO because it's way too expensive. I'm not getting one right now. But I like Nintendo, and I was like, oh, I guess I need this thing. But I realized I didn't care. I didn't care about the new Mario Kart. I wasn't impressed with the library of games that came out on day one. I thought, there's nothing here that I want. The only thing I wanted to do was replay my favorite Zelda game, Wind Waker, because it doesn't matter. Anyway, point is, I found a way to dismantle my FOMO, look inside and go, am I actually jealous? Do I actually crave this thing? Do I actually want it, need it? Would it be an enriching part of my life? And the answer is no. Then, last week, the new Donkey Kong game came out, and I want that. I genuinely want that game. I love 3D platformers so much. It's made by the Mario Odyssey people, and I need that game. So I'm gonna save up my money, and at some point in the next 6 months, I might get myself the new Switch because I want that game. But it would be so easy for me to just go, is this FOMO? Do I really want it? I can't tell anymore. Because marketing, because hype, because of the conversations that you see on YouTube and social media and amongst your friends, you feel the need to be a part of this thing, and it's so hard to ignore it. While that was a little bit of a tangent about video games, it holds true. I have wasted 20 quid on a book more than once in my life because I felt the need for that thing. I remember hearing about Dungeon Crawler Carl, and it's all anyone was talking about for a few weeks. So I spent like 25 quid on that book. Turns out it was great, and I had a really fun time, and I bought the second one, although I haven't read it yet. But I couldn't tell if that was something I really, really desired, or if it was just FOMO. I'm pretty sure it was FOMO. I'm pretty sure I just felt the need to be part of that conversation, to make my own video about it, to read it and understand what everyone was talking about, with the hope that I would like it, rather than really feeling like, yes, this is for me, this is something I really, really want. It's a fine line to tread between desire and FOMO. And to return this to the point of the video, how are we supposed to manage that feeling when there are too many books? You can't get FOMO over everything. We can't afford everything, but there is everything all of the time. And we are expected by capitalism, by marketing, by the conversation at large, if you're part of it, to do everything, to read everything, to buy everything. I'm making this about me. That was not the point. But FOMO is a big problem, and there is no way that we can keep up with everything because none of us have enough time and money for that. And yet books just keep coming out all the time, every week, every month, all the time. So in that regard, it just feels like an endless capitalistic money-making churning machine that we can't keep up with. And it makes me feel very tired and very cynical and very burned out by the whole process. Which brings me to the other article that I mentioned at the start of this video. Although I guess article is a strong word, it's like this video, an opinion piece published in LitHub. The piece is by Maris Kriesman and it's titled, "There Are Too Many Books," or "Publishing Shouldn't Be All About Quantity." I'm going to skip the introduction. Again, it's linked in the description. You can read it, and I'm going to go to this paragraph here. In a January 30th interview, newly installed Penguin Random House CEO Nihar Malavia told New York Times reporter Liz Harris that after the deal to acquire Simon & Schuster fell through, he envisions a new strategy for increasing market share. Much of its growth will have to come organically by selling more books. Mr. Malavia said that hopefully AI will help, making it easier to publish more titles without hiring ever more employees. No, f off. Pay people, hire people, give people jobs. This was not supposed to be about AI. AI is stealing creativity, it's stealing jobs, it is a lose-lose machine. That is all AI is. It is a thing that creates only negative stuff and only negatively affects every single person it comes in contact with. It is Galactus devouring our planet. AI is a net zero, absolute waste of time, and I'm so angry at AI all the f***ing time. Let's leave aside the appalling yet very popular amongst executives idea that AI can easily replace human talent in creative industries. This is not an essay about AI, stay tuned. It's about the very American and capitalist idea that more is always better, that constantly churning out new products will help companies achieve year-over-year growth, which of course is the paramount goal. In the corporate world, output seems to be becoming more and more of a percentage game. You throw a bunch of products against a wall, see what sticks, and write off the ones, a vast majority, that don't. I could not have put it better myself. To borrow a phrase from my favorite video games journalist, Stephanie Sterling, capitalists and corporations don't just want a lot of money, they want all of the money. Everyone wants the monopoly. And Monopoly is a board game invented by a communist to explain how capitalism doesn't work. They want everything and they can't have everything. And this is why, more and more as every day goes by, I value independent publishing more and more. Because everyone has a fair and equal shot of finding their audience. If publishers are moving this way, if they're becoming reliant on AI and market trends, publishing is going to become less interesting, and I have talked about this in other videos, the homogenization of publishing and trends. Romantasy is everywhere, and so much of it is bad, and so many people are writing it. The good stuff exists, and I've talked about that in other videos as well. I like romantasy, there is some good stuff, and the majority of it is bad. But because of its popularity, it is all you see. Go into a bookshop and you see stacks of romantasy books everywhere. Go onto a publisher's website or a bookshop's website and you will see romantasy first and foremost. Because it's the big trend right now, and I get it, trends have always existed, but it means that everything else, everything interesting, gets sidelined, just as the article said. But if you're someone who has a craving for a specific thing, you can seek it out, and there will be self-published or indie-published people and books that have created those things that you're looking for. If you are a queer person who loves horror, and I know there are a lot of them out there, I wrote this book, Queer Horror Stories, from me to you, and I know that at least 1,000 people have read and enjoyed my book. Great. I don't know if that's success, I don't care, but the point is there is an audience for this. I did not seek out traditional publishers because I didn't trust them to understand what I was doing here, but I knew this was good and I knew it would find its audience, and it did, with the help of my channel, because that's the thing, is that you need to use social media, you need to garner a following, you need the internet, you need to find a voice, and not everyone does, not everyone can, not everyone finds any level of success via things like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. I know that. But at least you have a shot. At least you have an opportunity. And I think that's really exciting. And of course, if a traditional publisher came along and said they wanted to publish this or my next book, of course I'd be excited, because it's so many people's dream to be approached by a publisher and be given a 6-figure book deal, etc., etc. But I'm so cynical towards it now, and I only see more evidence to be cynical. And if they are choosing quantity over quality, then quality disappearing is a dangerous thing, and it makes everything seems so pointless. Where's the artistry? Where's the talent? Where's the skill? I read a fantastic book recently. A really, really good fantasy book. It's around here somewhere. I'll talk about it in an upcoming video. And although I enjoyed that book, there is a typo on page 1. I was really shocked to see that. A typo on page 1. Where was the editor? Why? The book is full of typos. It feels like it wasn't edited. It feels like a first draft. Luckily, it is a good book, but I spent £20 on a hardcover. Where's the editing? You don't see that. You don't see typos on page 1. It's not a normal thing to find. Speaking as an editor, I was pretty shocked to see it. So is this a publisher cutting corners? Did they have an editor? How did they miss that? This is just more evidence of quantity over quality, the idea that if you're gonna put less effort into editing every individual book for the sake of putting out more books more quickly, everybody suffers. Everything gets a little bit worse. So in that regard, there are too many books, because quantity over quality should never be anybody's goal. But of course, it's pretty much the MO of capitalism. And one other thing that I'd like to bring up is paper, environmentalism, the general green health of our world. If we publish a lot of books, that's a lot of energy, it's a lot of mass production, and it's a lot of paper being used. I don't want to dwell on this because I'm not an expert in this area. I know that AI right now is the biggest threat to our environment, and the corporations responsible certainly don't care about that. So I don't know if it's worth even going down this road. I care about the environment, I care about the state of our planet, but I don't know if publishing is the right thing to take aim at because, I mean, it's AI, isn't it? So it's a thing that I want to bring up. I want to just give 1 minute of this video to my concern for the environment with the overproduction of books and the overproduction of everything. But I don't know much about how overproduction affects the environment, especially when it comes to books. I don't know how bad it is. I don't know how many trees and forests are in danger because of overproduction of books. I don't know. I don't know if it's a drop in the ocean compared to what AI is doing, so I'm going to stop here. I just want to acknowledge it, that's all. So it kind of feels like everything I've talked about here can kind of be separated into two different things. One is the overproduction of books. So many books are being published, and it might be bad for the environment. It definitely affects reader FOMO, and it might impact the overall quality of what comes out if publishers are more concerned with just getting things out there. And then on the other side, we have the equal opportunity angle of self-publishing. If you can self-publish, there is nothing stopping you. Anyone can do it with a little bit of money and a little bit of time and effort. There are no real barriers to entry when it comes to self-publishing. And judging from that statistic, 2.6 million books self-published in 2023 alone, that definitely feels like an overproduction of books. It definitely feels like there are too many books, but it feels like these are separate issues. Just because all of those books are being published, KDP works on supply and demand. They don't publish a book, as in one physical copy, unless someone orders it. So it's supply and demand. If you self-publish a book, it exists in concept. If nobody buys it, nothing happens. Nothing bad happens. You're not losing anything. Nobody's losing anything. But every time you sell a book, you gain something, and so do they. They gain a book, you gain a little bit of money, and hopefully a little bit of pride. So I don't really mind how much is self-published, because each book has the opportunity to succeed or fail, and each one will succeed or fail at different rates and different levels, and it's fine. It seems fine to me. But when it comes to the publishing industry, overproduction of slop is a net loss for everybody. Authors are going to make less and less money. AI is becoming a tool that they're relying on. Overproduction of books is bad for the environment, I think, and there's no way that any of us can keep up with the amount of things being published. It's a lot. There's a lot to think about, there's a lot to talk about. I've cited 2 sources, I've given a lot of my own thoughts and feelings and opinions, and I could keep going, but I'll stop here. Now I would like your input. Where do you come down on this? What feelings do you have? Pick out something I've said and leave a comment about it. Tear it apart, add something to the conversation. I'll be in the comments, I'll be liking and replying as I always am, because I spend too much time in my comment section, but I want to know your thoughts and opinions, please. Let me know. And if you've enjoyed this video and you like what I do, please consider supporting me on Patreon and maybe buying a copy of my book. There are links to it in the description just under the like button. Managing and Other Lies is a queer horror collection that I'm very proud of. If you've already read it and enjoyed it, leave me a review. And if you want more of my stuff, you can support me on Patreon because I'm publishing stories there whenever they're finished. Stay tuned for more and subscribe for books.